Hi everyone, Simon Keeling here, Tuesday the 6th of November. Just an update on the longer range forecasts for you. As always, thanks for watching weatherweb.net. We get free of charge by the adverts that are around the screen, and by you coming back and using this regularly, that means we can keep it all free of charge, so thank you for doing that. Yeah, just want to indulge a little bit really in a bit of data. This is the forecast from the CFS for the next week, the temperature anomalies, and you can see how we're in the kind of light pinks here, which is indicating temperatures slightly above normal overall during the next week, coming in at around about normal to 2 degrees above normal. So not a bad week for us really, but below normal across parts of central and southern France and across parts of Portugal too. But generally much of Europe running into parts of Russia are going to be above normal. Some really warm conditions still out here across these central parts of Russia during the next week. Just interesting, I was looking at, this is the total solar irradiance, so this is the radiation emitted from the sun, and I was just looking at this chart. This goes back, look, well into the 1600s, and just looking at, this is a reconstruction, and you can see here how total solar radiance fell off during that period, and then has been gradually rising until about the turn of the last century, when we saw this rapid increase in total solar irradiance. And then we can come into the nearer term. This is the total solar irradiance for the months of August, September, October. It finishes on the 30th of October, and notice how we're at the bottom really of a period of total solar irradiance, starting to pick up a little bit right at the end of October, but we're still in quite a low period for the TSI. So and that lends itself to cooler conditions. Also looking at the 50 millibar temperature, mean temperatures between the pole and 65 degrees north. And what's interesting with this one, if we compare it to last year, here's 2011, so it's this red line here. This is the highest, the maximum between 1979 and 2008. This is the minimum between 1979 and 2008, and this is the mean. Now, this is the period last year, look, November. You see that we were just tracking slightly below the mean, quite a bit below the max, but we're starting to touch on the minimums as well. But then if you look at this year for the same period, look, we're quite a bit below the mean, we're quite a bit below the max as well, and we're almost into record minimums in terms of the zonal temperature for the zone from 65 north to 90 degrees north. Now what we look for here is this turnaround, because when we get rapid warming in the stratosphere, it's that can lend itself some really cold conditions across much of Europe. Now what's interesting here is that if we do get down to the same sort of minimum levels, and if we were just to project this chart forward, look down to those minimum levels, that would put us towards the end of December period, beginning of January's period, and that potentially signals this idea of colder weather going into the second half of the winter. But we'll wait and see. I mean, that really is conjecture, so you know, we'll just wait and see how things develop on that. As far as the CFS is concerned though, this is the short-term CFS taking us through till mid-December, and today's is showing us as relatively mild through much of the next week or so. I'm not sure this is quite the case. I think this is going to be petering off something like so, a line going through here, and then it's bringing in cold weather at the end of the month, taking us through into the beginning part of December. Now, I think what to draw from the CFS at the moment isn't necessarily this sort of snapshot, day snapshot of what the CFS is doing. It's to take it over a period of time, and what it's been showing is a gradual decrease in temperature during the second half of November, taking us into sort of 6 and 7 degrees. And I do think that's probably the line that we're going to be going down. It's going to be taking us into that sort of zone where we see this fall off in temperature, and I can't rule out completely the idea of this colder snap coming through sometime during the month, towards the end of the month, although it's difficult to pin down at the moment. I do still think the period from about the 17th onwards is going to be cooler, and then perhaps seeing a sharper temperature drop from about the 22nd or 23rd onwards. And this is the CFS longer ranges. So this is the CFS monthly anomalies for precipitation for the coming month. So this is how it sees November, and it's keeping us in these drier than normal conditions, look, across the west of the country, near normal conditions elsewhere. Then for December, it does see a much wetter month. Now again, don't take this as absolutely gospel, okay? This is just a snapshot as to how things are looking today, but it does bring in wetter conditions through December. It brings in dry conditions across Scandinavia. So dry conditions here, look, dry conditions down towards the south, and I'm just wondering, are these dry conditions because of high pressure centered in here somewhere? It possibly could be that that's the case, but I just don't see it at the moment. January, wetter than normal across the west, nearer normal towards the east. Into February sees us as wetter than normal across many western and central areas, and drier across the east. And then for March, again bringing rainfall totals above normal across much of the British Isles before taking us to near normal levels through April. So this is quite an interesting one, really. And then if we compare that to the temperature predictions for the CFS, here's November. Look, it makes us cold through November. Now this has got us sort of 1 to 2 degrees below normal for the month as a whole, as it has for much of Western Europe. This probably could turn out to be about right. So it's not drastically cold, it's just cooler. December it sees us near normal, if not just slightly above normal across the south of the UK. January, well, it brings us into near normal conditions across much of the UK. For February, again near normal conditions for many, but note again how warm the east of Europe is, as indeed it is through January, look, as well. And then for March, it keeps us near normal but much warmer across the east of Europe. And then for April, takes us into above normal temperatures but still milder across much of the east of Europe. So there's some interesting developments taking place here on the charts. I'm not sure the CFS quite has it. I mean, I still fall in line with this idea of us seeing a winter where we get temperatures generally around normal, but these spikes downwards lasting for 6 or 7 day periods at times, and it could be that we see 4 or 5 of those during the winter months, and they could be really sharp snaps of winter but not lasting very long, and the overall effect of that is likely to bring our temperatures to be around about or around a degree or so cooler than you would expect through the winter months. Something we're going to be keeping our eye on, but it is interesting, particularly to be monitoring these charts of total solar irradiance and also to see the mean temperatures for the stratosphere as well, just to see how these develop and to see if we do get any sudden warmings once this reaches its minimum around the end of December. Does that then rise rapidly, which then takes us into potential for a cold snap at the early part of during the early part of January? It'll be an interesting one to see. So hopefully that's been useful. I just wanted to show you some of the information we use here when we kind of build in these longer range forecasts. So thanks again for watching. Just a reminder, we kept free of charge with the adverts that we see around the screen here. So by you using the adverts, coming back to the site, telling your friends about it, that's what keeps us all free of charge. So thanks again for watching, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.